JJK Modulo Chapter 14 explained in 30 seconds or less. So at the end of last chapter, it was decided that Yuka will be battling Dabura as Earth's representative. And we're shown this conversation between Mino and Miyaguni where he's essentially asking if this is their only option. She explains that Earth doesn't have any weapons that will be formidable against Dabura. Nuclear weapons are completely out the question, because none of the nuclear powers want to bear the shame of dropping another nuke on Japan. The rest of the world is basically telling Japan they're on their own. So since Yuka is already dying from terminal cancer anyways, the only option they have left is to use some sort of binding vow, which we'll explain a little bit later. The point of view switches to Maru, who is clearly sad about his brother's situation. He's pondering how exactly they got here in the first place. When did it become difficult for him and his brother to communicate? He explains it started when his father died over a milestone that wasn't actually a milestone. He died clutching this rock in his hand, thinking it was a milestone, thinking he could pass this on to his sons when he died. But at some point, Maru realizes this isn't even a milestone, it's just a regular rock, which really angered him at the fact that his father essentially died over a rock. But despite being angered, he couldn't bring himself to tell Cross about this because of his deep love and respect for his father. While Maru is reminiscing back to these days, he paints this picture showing how much of a sweetheart Cross used to be. He says back in these days, he was a stubborn one, he was the one quick to anger, which he feels like are characteristics he inherited from his father. They're both stubborn and set in their ways. His father's obsession with Maul cost him his life, while Maru's obsession with the way of the warrior cost him his relationship to his brother. So now back in the present, Maru is plagued by the wish that he could talk to his brother one more time and tell him he's sorry. The point of view switches then to Tsurugi, who is also pondering the current situation between the Earthlings and the Sumerians, and he feels like something isn't making sense with the Sumerian story. He explains that their social structure doesn't feel like that of a modern nation. What he means by that is in a lot of ways they're pretty primitive for a race of aliens who have traveled across the galaxy. Which leads us to his biggest question: how did they construct the spaceship Nanox? It's capable of carrying 50,000 people across several galaxies. Even if it were powered by cursed energy, how are they able to build such a sophisticated piece of technology? Even if it were possible using their own curse techniques, there were no way they had enough time, especially considering how long it took them to build a simple canal. So Tsurugi comes to the conclusion that some irregular, unforeseen things have been at work here. And while he's walking and pondering the situation, he eventually runs into Maru, who seems like he's been expecting him this entire time. Tsurugi says, "It was you, wasn't it, Maru? The spaceship Nanox is made from Maul, and Maul doesn't just respond to cursed energy, but to cursed techniques as well. Sumerians made it all the way to Earth because of a single Jujutsu sorcerer's technique, right?" And Maru explains it wouldn't have worked with ordinary Maul. The Maul Dura left was special and incredibly pure. Since that was a place not even the Discante could reach, it makes sense that Maul of that quality was there. And also, it wasn't just me, it was mine and Cross's technique. Tsurugi says, "I was looking for you everywhere, I didn't think I'd actually find you." And Maru says, "I wanted to have one last proper talk with you, Tsurugi." And Tsurugi asks, "Is the reason you can find me and we can speak Japanese like this together also because of you and Cross's technique?" Maru says, "Yeah, it is." And Tsurugi asks, "Can't you all just leave Japan?" Maru replies, "We can't, not since Rumelians found out about the Kallians." And Tsurugi asks if he knows about the duel between Dabura and Yuka, and he says, "Yes, I do. Just forfeit, there's no point, none of you guys can win." Tsurugi basically says, "Are you sure about that?" Yuka was sick and her illness is progressing faster than the doctors expected, and I was a total idiot for not realizing something was wrong, but that's not important now. Something Earthling sorcerers use as a last resort when their lives are on the line: a binding vow. Maru says, "And it bursts their cursed energy and techniques. Still, that doesn't mean she can beat Dabura." Tsurugi continues explaining, Yuka's been searching for something worth staking her life on this entire time. He thought since she was gonna die soon, she might as well die for someone else's sake. But I want to stop her from fighting in this duel. Today is not the day Yuka should die. And if she only has 3 months, I want her to live out those entire 3 months. Even if it ends up being 1 more week or even tomorrow. That's what it means to be an older brother, right, Maru? As he's saying this, he begins to draw his sword. He says, "Please, take the rest of Sumerians and leave Earth." Maru says, 50,000 of my compatriots are aboard the Nanox, including many women and children. When we left Sumeria, it took almost 2 years to reach Earth, even using our technique to its fullest extent. But we finally found a place where we can put down roots. Up until now, everyone's been terrified that we drift around forever and end up a speck of dust in the vast darkness of outer space. There's no place left for us on Sumeria, and there's no guarantee we could find another planet. I'm sorry, but we won't leave Earth, and if you're gonna talk about Yuka, then what about the Kallians? And what about Cross? And at this point, they're simultaneously drawing their swords. Tsurugi says, "My bad, I phrased that wrong. I meant to say, get the hell out of here, Maru." As he assumes his battle stance, he says, "I can't because I'm a warrior." No break next week. Make sure you like and follow for more videos like this.